Hello, and welcome to the Realigned Journey, the unfiltered guide to self-discovery and reconnection. I'm Sierra Sambrowski, your host, and together we'll deep dive the topics that have caused us to lose touch with ourselves and explore ways to reconnect to our true self. This season, I am bringing on guests that are sharing their personal stories, those pivotal moments and experiences that really realign them. This week, I have with me James Valentine. James is an ascension coach, healer, best-selling author, international speaker, quantum 360 business consultant, and recognized as one of the top 15 coaches of Las Vegas 2023. He helps people connect with higher states of consciousness, align with their higher selves, and discover their soul's purpose, empowering them to live a life of love, abundance, and fulfillment. Hello, James. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, my beautiful soul friend. It is great. It is great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I know. I'm so excited. Just reading your introduction. I mean, anybody that's listened to me and connects with me at all, they know exactly why I asked you to be here on this episode with
I
me,
love it.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say we'll jump right into it. Why don't you tell me as many, because you probably have had more than one, I would
Mhm.
guess. But share with me and everybody listening, what has been one of the biggest pivotal moments or experiences that you have had that really realigned you and kind of sent your life in a whole different direction?
Ooh, I almost have PTSD just thinking about it here. But
Oh no.
no, in a good way. For me, and I'm going to give a precursor to this starting in 2015. In 2015, I was very much in the Christian faith. I was a Christian minister, and I had what we call a spiritual awakening.
Mhm.
Where now I'm doubting, I'm doubting a lot of what I've been taught, what I have learned, and now I'm in the space of unlearning. And that I thought was going to be what would propel me into just continual growth and evolution, and it did, but not in the way that I expected, because in 2022, no one told me, Sarah, you can have two dark nights of the soul, two
Mhm.
spiritual awakenings.
Mhm.
And so
I
I
think you
am
can have more than two, actually, James. Sorry to
let
burst
me
your bubble.
let me just be okay with my two right now. So at the end of 2022, I am like, what is going on? I've done this already. And I am in the throes of darkness.
Mhm.
And I'm looking in the mirror and telling myself, I hate you. I remember having a conversation with my sister, and I said, if I had a gun right now, I would take my life. I was
Mhm.
also on suicide hotlines, and there was just this really strong internal resistance and fight, because it was like, what is, like, I've done this, why am I in this space?
Mhm.
And so even though, I don't identify with Christianity as I once did, Jesus is still my guy.
Mhm.
He's still my guy. And so I said, there's got to be something in here that's going to help me. And so I saw Jesus going into the wilderness. James, that's what we need to do. We need to uh, go somewhere, no creature comforts, very, something that's very uncomfortable. And so I went on Airbnb, and I just looked for places that were in the woods, places I would need a tent, places that were by the water, creeks, and places I would have to rub two sticks together to make fire. And I actually settled on this place, and it selected me. I know now it selected me, and settled on this place in Auburn, Kentucky. And I actually had to catch an Uber from the Tennessee airport to the place in Auburn, Kentucky. And as the
Mhm.
Uber driver was driving me, I'm noticing just nothing but woods, just nothing but, I mean, it's almost like the afternoon and it's complete darkness. And I'm looking around like, okay, but then I'm reminding myself, James, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted.
Yeah.
And my whole thing here was to reconnect with soul, because I
Mhm.
recognized that I was too much in my mind, too much fighting, internal warfare. in my with my ego and all of that. And I was like, I just need to connect with my soul. And so I spent about 40 days in Auburn, Kentucky. I found out later that it was Amen and Mennonite country, horse and buggy town. But I spent a lot of time indoors, fasting, meditating, complete darkness for days at a time. I found myself channeling something I now know is light language, but at the time, I'm like, wait, this is why am I speaking in tongues? This is I thought light language. I thought speaking in tongues. Wait, let me make sure I'm saying this right. I thought speaking in tongues was just exclusive to Christianity. I didn't know it was this whole light. So I'm speaking it. I'm like, where is this coming from? And so it just became one of the most profound experiences of my life. And one of the big things, Sierra, that was really life, that whole experience was life transformational. But I started studying near-death experiences because it came, and I've spoken to other ascension coaches, spiritual teachers as well, who almost had the same path to study near-death experiences. For me, my mind made sense of it because it was, okay, this is what it looks like to be completely in soul. This is what it looks like to be independent of your body, independent of your mind, completely in soul. And so I learned things like manifestation is supposed to be instantaneous. I learned that, while I am, not against affirmations, that communication, soul communication is without words. People would say they would think something and then it would appear or whatever. And so I really began to lay the foundation for what has become my ascension journey. Because before that, I was the $1 Million Manifest Coach. I was the Manifest Coach. And for a brief moment in 2015, when I had my first awakening, I was a spiritual life coach. But after this experience in the wilderness, I rebranded as the Ascension Coach. But what I didn't mention was I got so many profound revelations there around parallel realities, around Gaia, around what it means to be living in the fifth dimension. Obviously, like I said, instantaneous manifestation and those types of things. Now, things around relationship, around money, those types of things as well. But I tell you, Sierra, what I am experiencing now almost makes that pale in comparison.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. And I chronicles because I've been journaling just before I went into the wilderness, but I've definitely been journaling from that moment into this moment here. And I've had very profound shifts where I can go, okay, on December, I think the 7th, I had a humongous shift. On March the 7th, just recently, I had a humongous shift to where, and it, even as I've been trying to articulate it or even describe it to even my spiritual community, it's more of a deepening than anything, but I no longer, I spend 70, 80, 90% of my day in soul. In other words, this experience is not happening. I'm dreaming this experience. And even when I look at, one of the things I say throughout the day is, this is just an appearance. This is not the truth. Right. So, I mean, and this, being in the spiritual community, there is no body that is a body. There is no thing that is a thing. There's nowhere that is here. And so just a deepening of my awareness of, I appear to be in a library, but I am the truth. And I associate myself, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody. I know that I am God. I am the eternal I. I'm an aspect. And also the same consciousness that I am, I know is the same consciousness that Sierra is. And so it is you manifesting me into this moment, me manifesting you into this moment as that one consciousness, right? And so there is just a deepening of that where I am, there's no gray area for me. There's just the dream that I'm dreaming. there's the appearance. And what I've been able to do as a result of this, Sierra, is I want to give the story about my daughter. I have two daughters. One is 11. One I just recently adopted, not legally, but she's 21 years old. So this is what I recognized. I recognized her mother on social media saying, "Hey, my daughter has cancer." She was just expressing all her distress. The doctors were not able to do anything, and so
Yeah.
I reached out to her and I said, "I can show you how to heal your daughter, even from where you're at." So I kind of gave my process at that time. I have a different process now, but I gave her my process at that time, and she said, "Hey, do you mind sharing this with her?" Sure, no problem. So I had 3 sessions with her daughter. 2 weeks after our last session, cancer's gone.
That's
But at the same,
amazing. You
yeah,
posted about this.
I
This is who
did
you
post
posted
about.
about the other day? Yeah.
Oh, no, there was something. It was a second case the other day.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh. Okay. Okay.
right, like
Sorry.
like it was another situation with
This
a
is your normal
different.
life. You can't even keep track. You're just running around teaching people how to
Right.
heal themselves.
Right, exactly. And so but at that time I was operating more in epigenetics, that what shows up in your body is a result of something that's going on mentally that you're wrestling with.
Right.
And so I recognized that for her, it was something dealing with male figures. When she was very young, there was some abuse or whatever. And so I felt that I was being led to be like a father figure to her. So I reached out to her mother and I said, "Hey, I feel like I'm being led to be like a father figure to my daughter. I was calling my daughter now. I haven't mentioned this to her, so I won't say her name. But she said she would love that. Why don't you reach out to her?" So I reached out to her. She said, she loved it. So now I have a second daughter, and for me, there's no difference. I have an 11-year-old and I have a 21-year-old, regardless. So this recent one, the one you saw posted, was how I operate now. Like, this is a constant ascension. This is a constant evolution. So when I talk to you about this being just an appearance, this means that the truth is there's only wholeness, there's only abundance, there's only life, so she reached out to me and she said, "Hey, and she's had it for 2 weeks. Like, she just let me know that day. But she said, I had a sonogram, I had a mammogram, I had a sonogram, and I found a lump, and there was some debris, and I don't know those terms. I just know what she told me. She said there was some debris in it, and there's 80% chance it's cancer." And I could feel her energy just really kind of checking the box that this is what it is. And so the question was just whether, because she was due to go back in a couple of days, the question was whether it was malignant or benign. So I could have easily operated in the space of, you know what, we're going to make this benign. We're not going to make this malignant. But I said, "You don't have cancer, period." And she was, I caught her off guard with that a little bit. She was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, you don't have cancer, period." And I tell you, Sierra, and 2 days later, she texted me back, just like I posted in the on the post. 2 days later, she texted me back after that appointment. She said, "No cancer." And yeah, that's what I told you. And I didn't do it from the place of James, because James is just a character avatar. I did it from my I amness, my eternal I. But the way I was able to know, because as you read the post, I said I didn't hope. I wasn't trying to encourage her. I wasn't trying to believe. I knew she didn't have cancer because I was definitely in a high vibrational place at that moment, definitely really connected to who I am as soul. And in that space, recognizing that there is no person coming to me saying they have cancer. There is no such thing as, there is only wholeness. There is only wholeness. And so where before I would do the epigenetic type thing, now it was just, no, there's no cancer, because there's only wholeness in the universe. So this is just an appearance, but this is not the truth. And I only subscribe to the truth. And so yeah, that's how even that situation came to be. And that's the space I operate
in. I'm like, dude, I don't even know where to start right now. Like, as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I gotta come back to that. Oh, I gotta come back to that. Oh, I gotta come back to that. Yeah, that's phenomenal though.
That is
It
the
is
evolution.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the evolution. That's the
It's
ascension.
interesting. I would say, and it's interesting to me. There's like a synchronicity for me because
Hmm.
you brought up about the light language or speaking in tongues. And
Yeah,
so that is something that I've talked about this story before. The woman that helped me to understand my spiritual gifts and truly mentored me in that kind of way. I got together with her the other day,
yeah,
just in fact last Friday,
yeah,
and she brought up to me about speaking in tongues. She said, we're supposed to do this. They call this a language. Her and I have never talked about this.
wow,
And I said, yeah, I've heard of it. I said, I know
yeah,
people call it the light language. I said,
yeah,
I remember as a child, as a kid growing up, particularly I was Catholic. We were brought up Catholic,
yeah,
that the idea that you would speak in a different language was considered like the work of the devil, like
yeah,
that you had become possessed, and so
yeah,
you were taking on a different tongue.
yeah,
Of course, I mean, not to get into all that, but I believe that part of that was just their way of controlling and putting fear into that people wouldn't engage in it, but that's a
of
whole
course,
nother
of
conversation, right?
course, right,
But I think a piece of it stayed with me. I think there's always been, while it doesn't bother me that other people do it,
right, right,
I have never felt particularly comfortable. Now, I love to chant though. I love
yeah,
doing kirtan chanting. There's different Buddhist chanting that I do. I love vocalizing like that. So to
yeah,
hear you, and she was saying to me, no, you really should start practicing. We should all be using that language because
yeah,
I have the same belief system that you do, that
yeah,
we are God,
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
our core, our essence, whether we call it higher self, soul, whatever we want to call it, is God. It
yeah,
is the same energy, it is the same essence
same,
as that of which we call God, universe, creator.
right,
And
right,
so, just like you, like people come to me and when they have like a session with me or whatever, and they'll be like, well, so, who is it that you connect to? And I'm like, me, which is you, because we're the
right,
same. I mean, I was like, if you really want to like put it in a costume and put it in a little outfit, well, then, it's a little more you in personality than it is in me personality.
yeah,
But it's all the same.
it's all
It's
the
all the
same.
same. But it is interesting, like I said, it's interesting for me that you brought up the light language thing.
And
So do
I,
you practice it regularly?
I,
Like you
I allow it to come.
practice? Okay.
I allow it because the same way that like it really, really took over me. And
Mm,
I think even my egoic mind was like, what are we doing here? This is related to Christianity. But at times, yes, I will just allow it to come over me and speak through me. Um, and at times I can interpret or the interpretation will show up in some way somehow.
I was
But
saying
yeah,
that was
but
going to be my next question. Do you
right.
translate it then? Do you have
I
any idea what you're saying?
when I was in Christianity, yes, I could. I would speak it and then translate what I just spoke right behind it.
Interesting.
But since I've done the light language, that it's more of a internal knowing. But at times, yeah, it will show up in a message some way somehow. But I have to say this, in that I am a reflection of your soul. I it isn't that I brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
You brought this up through this vessel. So
Mm-hmm.
this is your what you call your soul or your higher self going, yeah, she was right. This is confirmation. I've been trying to tell you this.
It definitely is. That's exactly how I took it too,
Yeah,
James. I was like,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
shit. I guess this means I better start playing around with this because there's no way it came up if it
right,
wasn't the right time for me to start to
right,
explore that for myself and whatever
right.
it might mean for other people.
Because I recognize that too. I recognize at times when I hear something maybe on YouTube or something, reading something in a book that's resonating me
Mm-hmm.
with me, I'm like, my soul created this experience for me to know more aspects of myself as soul, or for to confirm
Mm-hmm.
what soul has already been speaking to me. what, or me as soul is speaking to myself, as you know. I
Yeah.
also want to share this. This was the most profound thing that came out of that wilderness experience.
Mhm.
I channeled through me, and I want to be clear also for even everyone. We all channel.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Anytime you have an idea
Mhm.
that you are channeling that. So
Mhm.
obviously there are people who do that at a much different or higher perspective, but it came through me. I channeled myself in saying that the whole spiritual journey is about learning not to judge according to appearances.
Mm.
And so that has been something that I have taken with me out of the wilderness and have seen even being at the point now where I'm saying, oh, this is just an appearance. This isn't the truth. Like even
Mhm.
that which I received from there continues to evolve in my understanding of, oh, because when I left out of there, it was just, oh, things are not what we think they are, et cetera, which I know everything is fifth dimension, everything is soul. But even the evolution of the point I am now, where none of this that we think is happening. And I liken it to, this was also in the post, I liken it to when we go to bed at night, we might have a dream. Somebody may be chasing us in the dream, or there may be some undesirable situation. But the truth is, we're safe. We're on our bed, on our couch, fully safe, fully, okay. But we're dreaming that we're having this experience. So even
Mhm.
when you look at things like lack or not being in good health or whatever, but that's just an appearance. That's not the truth. And so that's where myself has me at now, just
Mm.
really being able to differentiate the truth from illusions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally want to dig into that a little bit so that we can kind of explore that mostly for the listener. But
Yeah.
I do have another question first before we go there.
Mhm.
I'm wondering for those of us that do get it and do understand that realize this outward experience is a projection.
Mhm.
It that there's a falseness about it and also that it is what we are experiencing so that our soul can evolve and know the truth.
Yeah.
So like I get that.
Mhm.
Totally get it. I
Mhm.
know it.
Yeah.
I'm I mean, I'm probably better than average being
I
who I am and where I am in my personal growth and spiritual growth, right? I'm better than average. I
I agree. I
recognize that. I
sense it.
probably
I
should
sense
give
it.
myself more credit, actually. But
Yes. Yes.
however, when we find our moments, because we all do, even though you might be further along and better at this than I am, we all have moments where whatever is happening in our human experience feels really
Yeah.
freaking real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it can
Hell yeah.
feel like, oh no, am I having a dark night as a soul again?
Right.
Um, I mean, maybe not that extreme, but so what do you say to people? What do you do for yourself? How do you
Mhm.
how do you move back? How do you detach from that? 'Cause isn't that really what it's teaching us anyway, which is where I want to go with this, but it's teaching us how to learn how to detach and just say, this is
Exactly. And how to judge that too. So
yeah,
I've answered this, and this is a great question because I've answered this a couple of times with people who've had that same question. What
yeah,
I've done and what has worked for me is and I used to do this. I don't know this, and I don't feel like I have to do this anymore. But what I
right.
used to do was at the end of my day, I would remember the truth. In other words, like say we're having this dream of having this interview podcast. At the end of
Mhm.
my day, I would remind myself there is no Sierra, there is no podcast, there is no. So I would repetitiously every single day recognize that I had this experience, but this experience was not the truth. And I would write down things like, because this is a lot of this is science, and I'm going to put out a post
Mhm.
soon where I talk about what most people think is woo woo is really just science, right?
Correct.
But when you know that everything is energy, then everything we are experiencing is an energetic experience. Now it's a
Exactly.
projection, Right, right. So there can be no body that's a body. There can be no thing that's a thing. It's all energy that has coalesced into the appearance of this form or whatever. So for those who get lost in the dream, what I would tell them is repetitiously remind yourself. And I just spoke this yesterday. I said what one of the key things in your ascension journey is repetition. And that is continually reminding yourself this is just a dream. This is not happening. You know, if I get what's called or something I may judge as bad news, of course it's because I don't even associate with human. I don't. I am soul. I am experiencing what it's like to be a human, but this is not me. So so if I get something that I may judge or somebody may call bad news, then it is really in that moment that you clearly define who you are. Like those are what I call the pivotal moments of your ascension journey. Because am I going to lose myself in this experience where now I'm scrambling and I'm running around and I'm in fear and survival and I'm now detached from soul and in ego, or am I going to step back and go, you know what? This is how the dream has chosen to appear in this moment. None of this is real, you know, and this dream has shown up in this way that it has for me, not to, you know, even if I lose $1 million, whatever that experience is showing up for me to help me evolve. And so now it's using everything that shows up in your reality, whether, because I've spoken to some people who they're having discord between family members or their partner or something like that. This isn't about any money. This isn't about any family member. This isn't about any, this is your reality. This is your reality. And so the message is, or the challenge is, what is this? What is the message for me in this experience? That becomes your defining moment. That determines your next level of ascension. And that's where a lot of people fall apart, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, whether it's a thought or whether it's an experience, it's all showing up to purge. It's to purge. That's why I say it's your defining moment. How are you going to respond? Are you going to respond as your higher self, or are you going to lose yourself in the dreaming and run around like a chicken with your head cut off? Because now it's going to recycle. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I say the same thing all the time. It's only a compass. It is coming up for you to release it
Right.
and let it go. For
And let it
you
go.
to realize that it is an untruth that you have been holding on to.
Absolutely.
And so, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes to all that you just said.
and then it's
every
still,
piece of it.
right. And then it's still remembering the truth. Like if it's associated with money, it's remembering, wait, there's only abundance. There's only abundance. There's only abundance. Or if it is maybe a challenge in a relationship, wait, there is only love. So this can't be real. As you just mentioned, this can't be real. And so it's pointing yourself back in the direction of the truth. And so that is what that experience more times than not has shown up for, to point you back in the direction of the truth.
Correct.
And if you miss it, now it recycles, and now you have another opportunity. But the moment you get that A on that test, and I don't like to call it a test, but once you get that moment where you're unbothered, you're like, sure, whatever fuck wants to show up, shows up. But I know the truth.
Exactly.
Now you're ascending. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you really are.
Yeah.
You truly are. You are rising above energetically, vibrationally. Vibration is energy.
Yeah.
Don't understand that. So when they think that we say about, vibration, that's extra woo-woo, well, vibration is an energetic pattern. That's all it
Science.
is.
Right.
And I would say, and that's hard cold science. That's I'm the same as you. I'm always like, no, this is real science. Like, I'm not just making this shit up. I swear to you. Like, it's real science. but yeah, that he absolutely is ascending. You
It's absolutely.
actually are raising your vibration. You are raising your energetic frequency.
And that,
And so the
yeah,
more we get higher, the higher we go,
right,
right?
right.
Then you are not bothered by these things. These experiences no longer can resonate and show up with you because you're not at the same vibrational frequency.
Yes,
That's
Sierra,
it.
yes, yes, that's it. That's it. That is it.
That's
That
it.
is it.
I know.
You
Now, if it
vibrate
was only
out of
that
that.
simple,
It really is. It
I mean,
really,
it can
really
be.
is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's important. And that, I want to touch on also parallel realities for a moment.
Yes. Yeah,
And
do it.
and yeah, and what myself as my higher self showed me. Because this is science as well. This is science
Right.
as well, but this is just science that we haven't explored. Science is saying that we only see in snapshots, right? So it's almost
Right.
as if there's a movie reel that's on the projector, on the screen, or the 3D reality. It looks like everything is moving, everything is seamless, whatever. But obviously, when you look at the film, it's filmed in space, filmed in space, filmed in space. That is how we are experiencing reality. Like if I'm moving my hand up and down, this is one reality. This is another one. This is another one. This is another one. And this is science. It's only in one particular place at a time. But the way our brain processes it, it processes it as movement. But this is the right. But this is the most important thing. And this is also, and I got something else to back this up with. This is so vitally important because if I'm in a new reality, in this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, then I'm not the same person that I was here, or here, or here, or here. So, and some people may have a hard time getting their head around this, but if I'm not the same person that I was in this reality, or this reality, or this reality, then I don't have the same past that I had in this one, or this one, or this one, or this one. The way that I make it seem seamless is the same way watching the movie. My belief that it's seamless. And this is a great example of that. When you consider that the appearance of this body recycles cells every 6 to 10 years, like you get a whole new body every 6 to 10 years. If we explore that, the question becomes for the person who may have the appearance of cancer, or why does the cancer still stay? Why does the diabetes still stay? Why is it? And what makes our experience seem seamless, or what makes what makes the car on the road seem like it's not here, 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 but just seamless, is our belief. Our belief. Our belief is what's carrying that cancer over to the new body, that diabetes over to the new body. So even from
we
that
adopt the
perspective,
identity I have.
right. We
So
are
as
in.
soon as you adopt the identity
I have, then you do.
Then you do. Then you do. Absolutely. Every single moment through every single reality, through every single parallel reality. But if you take a moment, like say because on my ascension journey, there were times when I would still be triggered by something, right?
Of course.
And now I'm
Yeah.
right. Because I tell people all the time, and you probably know this as well, this is not a linear journey. This is, I always say it's kind of oscillating. It's it
I
goes
say
like
the
that.
same. It's
Yeah,
a spiral.
see?
Yes.
It's a spiral.
And I
It's a
still
spiral.
say I am having a human experience. Because people are like, well, if you know all this stuff, you must be. And I'm like, absolutely not. Because I'm still having a human experience.
Right. And even have and that's why we're here, right? Like
It is
we
why
would
we're
have,
here.
yeah, we would
To
be
go
ascended.
fully back into remembering.
Absolutely. That's what everything is for. That's what every experience is for. I always say it's to reflect the love that you are, or to remind you of the love that you've left. You've walked away for a little bit. Now let's get back to who you are. So every experience is either a call to love or a reflection of love, and which is obviously our divine being, our divine self. But yeah, I love this. I love these kind of conversations.
know.
Me too. Me too, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I was gonna say, and even when you were talking, I was thinking The whole experience for you of separating and going 40 days
Mhm.
and like fasting, being in darkness,
Mhm.
what do you think in that experience was the most important thing that you learned?
The most important thing that I learned was that I am, it took a while to really stick, even beyond that, was that
Right.
I am not my body. I am not, and I knew this,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
but I lost myself in my mind to even be in that place. But to
Yeah.
get back to the place where I am not my mind, I am not my body, even the mind is a part of the dream. Because
Mhm.
I had this conversation with somebody on Facebook, and they were talking about the ego. For
Mhm.
me, the ego is a part of the dream. There is no, I don't need to wrestle with it. I can just let it be as a part of the dream, but know that I am so. So the biggest practice for me was was looking at the NDE testimonials. But what really came out of that was now I'm on an ascension journey of even deepening my connection to my soul. So
Mhm.
really being able to separate who I am from who I'm not.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when you and I talked before,
Mhm.
just one to one, I think I had said to you before about Michael Singer,
Yeah, yes, you did. You did. And I
right?
listened to Michael Singer while I was
You
while I
did.
was in the wilderness. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so we were kind of talking about it because certainly in his newest book, Living Untethered, he talks about the fact that, there's this part of us
mhm,
that whether looking at ourselves in the mirror
mhm,
is at 10 years old is the same person that's looking at ourselves looking in the mirror at 23 years old, that is the same person that is looking at ourselves looking in the mirror at 45 years old. Like that there's this part of you that is
yeah,
always you, and
yeah,
when you can remember that, getting it just like you were talking about, like the moving of the hand, I was
yeah,
thinking, and what happens and why we get stuck, why we have negative experiences, we get depressed, stressed, anxiety, all these things, is because we fixate on that one frame,
yeah.
even though the
Oh
hand
my
is
God,
moving,
yes. Oh my God,
right?
yes, yes,
And so
yes,
when we get fixated, then that's when we forget that there's an us inside that
yeah,
sees us
yeah.
seeing the world, which I know
Absolutely,
can be like,
absolutely.
but if I
Well,
say it real
I get it.
slow, maybe
I get
people
it.
will get.
I get it.
But it's tough. It is tough to grasp, and it's always been interesting for me because I have really distinct memories at
Mhm,
like 6, 7, 8, where I would freak myself out as a child
mhm.
saying this is a dream.
Yeah, yeah,
None of
yeah.
this is real.
Wow,
And what
wow.
happens if I wake up? As a kid, I had no understanding of any of these things, so I was very afraid of that idea. But something was for all my life telling me, though I kind
Yeah,
of shut it down and I forgot about it for a long time. But as I've healed and moved in
yeah,
my own ascension, right? Like I'm reminded that no, even as a kid,
yeah.
I had recognition that this was all really a dream. And I would play these mind tricks with myself, being like, okay, if I close my eyes and open them, is this a different dream?
I love it. I
Like,
love
was
that.
I just dreaming that my dream was a dream? Is
Yeah,
this different? But I was awake, I was
yeah,
conscious,
yeah.
and the idea that we can really, because this also talks about some of the things that you were talking about,
Mm,
have whatever experience we really want. Like you were talking about, having been a manifestation coach
mhm, mhm,
and being able to, I know like Yogananda in the
mhm.
Diary of a Yogi, there he talks about being able to instantly manifest like fruit, gold coins,
Yeah,
a red box,
yeah,
like whatever it was,
yeah.
that we could have these things. And of course, manifestation, there's some people that are listening to this that are gonna know that I call it the M word. Like, and I'll swear like a sailor.
but I'm not a fan of the word manifestation.
Me neither now. But yeah, I'm not even that right now. Yeah.
Because I think it's a very masculine energy idea. I think it perpetuates this thing that I need to be doing something. That there is a separateness from me. And so I gotta like do the vision board and do the affirmations and dance around in a circle for 5 seconds saying I love my life. Whatever
Yeah.
nonsense
Yeah.
people are prescribing for you to be able to manifest, when the reality is that it's always there.
Always there. It's always there.
It's always there.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking to myself when you were talking about these things that in different forms, in different ways, I was thinking, so what does James say to people when they are like, well, I want to find the love of my life. I want to, be rich now.
Right,
I
right.
want to manifest my dream home. What do you say to people when they want to, I mean, they're asking you because they want a prescription
right
to the problem, but I'm
so
curious what
love
your
being
answer is.
Yeah, I so love being able to talk about this stuff. So where I go is obviously as consciousness, as divine being, as soul, everything exists in me. I talk about rooms in consciousness, meaning the call that I'm having with you is one room that I'm in. Once this is over, I go to another room. So if I'm experiencing something that I don't prefer, then I'm in that room. I need to close the door to that room and go into the place in consciousness where I have what I desire. But it's not a having as like you said, as if it's there and I'm here. I become it. As soul, as unconditioned consciousness, I condition my consciousness into being that. I am a homeowner. I am, and I say it like this, I am abundance. I am love. You want to talk about attracting your ideal partner? Become love. Become love. Like watch what starts to show up in your reality. So it's not even, I want to, and really that's your divine self. That's who you are as part of your being is love. But you can even condition it even specifically and going, I am in my most awesome relationship, and really, really embodying that. Because the body, this here, but also this 3D reality is a body. It's just the body for the consciousness that you are. Right? So if I say I am abundant, then my body's going to shift and my 3D reality is going to shift to reflect back to me the abundance that I am. This isn't the real us. The consciousness, as you know this, the consciousness is the real us. So whatever I want, I become it. I don't attract it. I don't manifest it. I become it. And now this reflects it back to me as my 3D experience. Yeah. So be a homeowner. Be the ideal relationship that you desire.
Yeah. Because it becomes about belief, right? Because we can say in the mirror 100 times a day, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant. And that will eventually work. It will.
Yes.
But the tipping point, from my perspective and my understanding, the tipping point for when that methodology works is when you actually fully believe it. And to me, I don't know about that easiest, but probably a better way to get to that believing point, again, goes back to something that you said earlier, and it becomes about stop fucking judging the moment.
Absolutely.
Stop judging the experience. As soon as you don't say, I am in an experience right now where my world feels like lack, as soon as you stop judging it that way and just, my world feels like what it is.
Right.
As soon as you can let go of that attachment, as soon as you can stop judging it and comparing to it, then you will believe whatever it is, which is the truth, that we are powerful, that we are infinite, that we are love. And
absolutely.
Love is abundance and all that other stuff we want.
You know what, Sierra, even when I'm explaining it to religious people, I give them back to them. I say, if in the beginning God created heaven and earth, so if all there was God in the beginning, then that means that God only had, I'm gonna use the term himself, I don't use, God only have himself or itself to create out of. So it's almost like if you had a tree, you can make a door, you can make a table, you can make a home, but it's still that tree. So no
I like
matter
that
if,
analogy.
right,
Yeah.
if God is all there was in the beginning, and we know God is love, is abundance, is wholeness, then everything we experience is that, because there was only that to create out of.
Mhm.
So that lets me know even then that this is an illusion. If I see something that has the appearance of lack, this is not the truth. There was only ever abundance. There was only ever abundance to work out of, to work with. So this can't be the truth. The truth is abundance. The truth is love. The truth is wholeness. And it's really being able to, come back to that over and over and over and over and over. I spent my whole 2023, I think I shared this with you when we talked. I put my business to the side. My whole 2023 was a healing journey. I didn't come back out into my business until January. So, and it was during that time being triggered, overcoming the triggers, repetition, get back at it again. Now I may be in tears, but I've lasted a little bit longer this time too. It got to the point, and I tell you, I've even recognized the benchmarks because of my journaling. On December the 7th, my higher self said, I no longer needed to do any more processes because the processes are to get us to a place that we already are. Like we're already there. And so, but it does take repetition to really keep remembering and remembering until it becomes annoying. That's the other thing I wanted to piggyback on what you just said.
It's annoying.
Right, right.
I mean, it can be.
Right. But the three stages of experiencing what you want is desire, belief, and knowing. Because belief even implies that there's some doubt somewhere in the area.
Yeah.
So I have to believe. But knowing is kind of what I told the person who showed up. You don't have cancer, and I went about my day knowing that she didn't have cancer. I didn't believe she didn't have cancer. I knew she didn't have cancer. And really that's where I'm at on my personal ascension journey right now. Getting to the place where I know everything that I know instead of believing. But that's
I'm glad you pointed that out, because you're right. I said believe, but I
also agree with you
I knew what you meant.
100% that you're right, that there is a difference. It's like saying, well, I hope that happens. Well, then you definitely don't believe it.
Right.
And then there's that, well, I believe that is possible, but you don't know it.
Right.
When we know it, then it's just
done. Right. You go play. Go enjoy your day. Go do whatever. It's done. It's done.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
Yeah.
Let me just say too, on a personal note, before I invite you to share with everybody how to connect with you, it's interesting because I too, around that same December 7th time period, was getting the same thing, that there was nothing that I needed to fix in myself. There was no blocks to clear. There wasn't, that I just had to step in it. And because I'm stubborn, I'm a little bit stubborn. I would let it go. And then like the end of January, beginning of February, I'm like, come on, y'all, there's got to be something I'm not getting. There's got to be something I'm not doing. There has to be something I need to work on, heal, fix. And they were like, nope.
Yeah.
You already are. Just step into it. And it's that process. I will say very honestly, I'm in that process of going from believing to knowing, because I have the knowledge of it. I know that to be true. I can parrot it and recite it and see it in other people all day long.
Yeah.
But getting it internally, getting it, like I always say, it's like getting it into lock in my soul, where I align, where my consciousness, my understanding, my brain, my thought patterns, everything falls into that place of knowing. It's very different. And that's personally where I am right now. So I get it.
Well, I'm there too. I do operate in knowing more times than not, but I want that to be, because soul doesn't think. Soul doesn't, soul knows. once you, I even did a podcast recently. I said, the moment you imagine it, you have it, because it exists now. It exists.
right
And
there.
so, yeah. And so I'm in that space too, of really solidifying the knowing part of this 3D reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're not in this alone.
I could certainly talk with you all day long.
All day
But we do need to wrap up here. So tell everyone, how can they connect to you? How can they follow you, learn more about you, if they want your help, all that jazz.
absolutely. So my primary platform, where I met the amazing Sierra, is LinkedIn. It's James A. Valentine. I'm on most of social media platforms as the Ascension Coach _ 1111. That's TikTok. That's Instagram. On Facebook, you'll find me as James Valentine as well, James A. Valentine as well. But for those who are listening in, I want to do this specifically for Sierra's audience. If you email me at jvalentine1043@gmail.com. Maybe you have some questions that were not answered here, or maybe you have maybe you're having some experience you're wrestling with. I will give you a free 15-minute call to bring up anything you want to bring up, and within 15 minutes, if I can work it out, then that's what we'll do. So just email me at jvalentine1043@gmail.com. I'll send you my calendar or hop on a quick 15-minute call, and yeah, we'll go from there.
That's amazing. So anybody listening, listen, even if you think you got it figured out,
We don't. Otherwise,
don't.
we wouldn't be here. So
Right.
make sure you take James up on that offer for sure. James, thank you so much. I can't wait to have you again.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
And to
So.
all the sojourners out there listening, joining in for another week, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends, and as always, we'll see you next time.
Namaste.